amazing collaboration tools in the office, and it's one of the things that drive people back. But the end user experience at home is paramount. What are some of the ways that you guys are addressing that challenge specifically?
Yeah, we definitely have a lot of solutions. Shure's kind of a household name. Just a lot of people know us from the pro audio industry, but yeah, I think if you look at emojis in your iPhone, it's a Shure microphone in the emoji. So we're pretty well known. But yeah, you're right. It's equally important to have good sounding audio at home as well as the office as well. So we've seen a massive uptick in sales in the SM7B, which has historically been a broadcasting microphone. A lot of people have those in their home working environments now. We also have a Motive line of products which are simple to use at home, USB connection. So yeah, super important to have that same experience at home.
And in terms of going back to the office, what type of challenges are companies seeing with incorporating, some of the technology that you guys are helping to launch? And so, what are those issues that companies are encountering?
I mean, I think some of it is, everything that's something that's repeatable and easy to deploy at scale is super helpful to be able to outfit rooms in less time. And then obviously there's always the issue of things like security. Obviously we want to make sure that the connections between those devices is secure and no one's able to eavesdrop on a specific confidential conversation, what have you. But yeah, I mean, I think like I kind of said, it's like there's more and more spaces that are just needing to become collaboration spaces, and we have to have that technology ready to be able to support that rollout.
Yeah, I think there's been an interesting shift post-pandemic. We can say that now, right? Post-pandemic.
Is that legal?
Right, I don't know.
Hopefully.
To the type of room that's really being used as a meeting space at work, physically in a building. We've seen a large shift to these smaller, more collaborative spaces as opposed to large, complex hybrid spaces. And tying back to what Peter mentioned, the MXA 902, which launched last week, and we're showing it here at InfoComm, is really the perfect solution for those small to mid-sized spaces, and really is a good answer for the on-site IT person who maybe doesn't know how to configure a pro audio system or configure individual beams from a ceiling array microphone.
Well, Evan, I want to stick on that point. You brought up small, medium-sized businesses, in many ways uniquely affected by the pandemic because space literally at their office is at a premium.
Yep.
So they don't have the benefit of having massive conference rooms where they can install technology and kind of leave it, right? There's flexibility, there's agility that's needed in all these spaces. How is that built into the design process, and how are you seeing that roll out specifically in small, medium businesses?
Yeah, so a good example, I'll just tie it back again to the MXA 902. Simplicity was at the core of every decision through the product development process of that. So everything from physically installing the microphone in the room, it's super simple, you just drop it into a ceiling grid. Wiring it, it's a single Cat5 cable, so stuff that in-house IT staff are usually pretty well aware of. And as far as configuration goes, there's really not that much you have to do to get the microphone up and running. So for these smaller businesses, it's really a good solution as opposed to a larger, more complex AV system. So.
Well, and Peter, one of the battles that we've faced, especially as you look at some of these businesses over the years, is that some of the incredible talent that was in the live events and entertainment world, specifically the pro audio world, found their way into these enterprise businesses throughout COVID, whether it's job security, for whatever reason they came into that space. Shure uniquely has a position to talk to these people, right? As much as we love our pro AV communities, there are a handful of pro audio folks who already have the ear of the companies already have the ear of some of those folks. What are some of the ways that you've seen those pro audio folks transition into the enterprise space, and how have you specifically been able to help them?
I mean, I think, yeah, that actually is really interesting, and just from the standpoint of our footprint in both worlds, right? Just the option of being able to engage those folks with solutions that they can use, whether or not they're working remote or doing a corporate presentation. I mean, they basically have the catalog is almost endless from an audio perspective. So being able to kind of engage those pro audio folks in the enterprise space makes a ton of sense.
I think the products are actually pretty interoperable. We do see a lot of the historical pro products, Shure products, being used in the workspace. So things like you would see on live sound acts, you also see in the conference space. So like our ULXD wireless and Axion Digital, definitely see those kind of interplay together.
Well, I'm going to kick this back to you too, Evan. You talk about a lot of those uses inside installations and at homes. a lot of that is used for content creation, which is a kind of interesting application that you're seeing now in the enterprise space, where people, for better or for worse, people like me have their own podcasts, right? I use a Shure SM7B, that's the microphone that I use, but that's also part of my enterprise workflow day. How are you seeing people balance these two worlds?
Yeah, they're definitely interrelated, and like I guess what I would tie it to is that they are definitely interrelated. We talked earlier about how the home experience is products that are typically used for content creation like SM7B or Motive. We're seeing that used in the workforce now, and I think there's a really important trend of the technologies from these very advanced Pro AV solutions being used in these more content creation focused applications. Like, you can take technology from a very premium beamforming array microphone and apply that same principle to content creation as well. So that's definitely something we're taking a look at here at Shure, is applying those technologies across the portfolio. So.
Wow, well, I'm learning a lot sitting up here with you guys, so I really appreciate you sharing all of this information.
You can't put 3 audio guys up here and not just spitball.
Yeah, we're just going to jam. It's just going to happen.
I'm going to let it happen. Well, once again, thank you so much for joining us.
Sure, thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Wonderful.
Appreciate it.
So now we wanted just to get a little closer to some of our favorite people in the AV industry. So I had a moment to chat with Chris Netto, and we just wanted to get to know him a little bit better. Let's check it out. All righty. Okay. So we're finally here at InfoComm.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you're here, if you could have one entrance song for when you first step on the show floor, what would it be?
Man, knowing the crowd that's here, a lot of them have rock and roll roots, at least the older crowd does. So if I was to get their attention, I would probably choose Down on the Streets by the Stooges.
I don't know if I know that one.
Well, you will if you ever play it. Okay. Well, I walk in. It's a crowd motivator. It's not about me. It's about who's in the audience, not me, right?
All right. So what recent trend that you are just over?
Marketing buzz comes into the conversation very quickly, right? And right now, I've been sitting through about 6 months plus of my AI is better than yours. Every organization is pitching some sort of AI. I think it's making strides, but I could use a little, turn the volume down a little right now. My bowl of cereal does not need to be AI, so.
All right, what was your first job? I know we chatted a little earlier, but now.
First job, I worked at Venice Pizza in Linden, New Jersey. It was a family-owned business. My cousin owned the shop. But I will tell people, the best advice, the best learning experience I had when it comes to customer service is when you're dealing with people's food. It doesn't get any more personal. A whole level of customer service learning came from delivering a $1.25 slice to people. And those lessons carry on to today.
Yeah. What's your favorite pizza?
I will tell people, I don't believe that pineapple belongs on pizza. Of all the AV things that I can talk about, nothing creates that much heat than me saying, keep the pineapple to yourself. Almost to the point where I believe that there's a conspiracy and that Big Pineapple is after me, right?
If you could teach a master class on anything, what would it be?
I love using pop culture and conversation to explain everyday things. So using music, movies, TV, art, any way that I can to get through to people, maybe my superpower. I've done a lot of different things in the industry. I came into the industry with a degree when everybody else was a road warrior, road dog, sound guy, video guy, right? So I kind of did everything from end user. I was a consultant. I spent time as an integrator. I project managed. I've got my MMA, my mixed martial audio visual degree.
Thank you so much for doing this with me.
No, thank you. Thanks for the coffee.
You're welcome. We'll have to have some cake after this and just...
Yeah, we don't want that.
No?
We're in Florida. If you don't come at me with key lime pie.
Okay. That's another argument. I'm a cheesecake girl, but we'll talk about that later.
That is a taste test battle that I'm willing to take.
Well, it's on then, Chris.
Right.
Take care.
Thank you so much.
Chris Netto, one of the best souls in AV. If you get a chance to meet him, he's usually over at the Starin booth creating content or tweeting Also follow along with AV in the AM. It's one of the things that he helps run. One of the best ways to keep up with what's happening in the industry. But Sam, I'm so glad you got a chance to interview him. He wasn't able to be on stage with us this year.
No, he wasn't this year, but I really enjoyed just chatting with him over a cup of joe. And you know, I was born in New York, and he's a Jersey guy, so you know sometimes we butt heads. But no, he's a wonderful guy. So that was a fabulous experience.
Well, look, let's dive right into our next topic. We're talking conference room as a service. Our next guest joining us now, that's Phil Langley from Wesco. Phil, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Welcome. Thanks for having me.
Well, Phil, look, we've got quite a wide array of people and solutions, products, visitors here at InfoComm. But I can tell you, not everybody knows what conference room as a service means. We keep hearing the phrase as a service. Break it down. What is conference room as a service?
Look, I think the best way for me to describe it is if you think about a builder, he needs compressed air on a building site to power his tools. You know, does he need to have the compressor, or can he just consume the compressed air? So if you think about compressed air and the unified collaboration or video conferencing solution, it's the same thing. So do you need to own the hardware, have that asset on your balance sheet, or would you rather consume that communications technology as a service? So that's probably the best way to look at it.
And then how do you see this concept evolving globally, since it seems, you know, pretty simple, right?
Yeah, we've had a bit of a trend in our industry for a number of years. One is that the Office of the CIO now owns the huddle spaces or within the corporate sector, where it used to be facilities. So the IT department likes to operate a certain way, and they like uniformity. And you know, our industry is really creative, but it's very hard to scale creativity. So they want scale at very high numbers. I mean, we deal with thousands of spaces across the globe right now. They want to be able to deal with scale, but they also want the same user experience. So the best way to do this, and the industry allows us to do that now, where we used to have a 12 RU rack full of disparate gear to provide an outcome, we can now do it with a lot less equipment, and the volumes have gone up, the complexity's come down, which allows us to scale globally, where before we probably couldn't do so much because it was creative.
And do you,
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, you're good.
Well, I was going to say, one of the things that you talk about facilities management, the Wesco name carries some weight in facilities management, right? How do you help bridge that gap between the facilities side and that IT side? I mean, there's got to be a lot of butting heads, right?
Yeah, there is. I think the industry's doing that for us. I think, you know, we're in over 50 countries. It's that global scale that's really got us to where we are now. And we didn't build, 20 years ago, we didn't build this because we knew the AV industry is going to need this. We've got a facility and an infrastructure the AV industry needs right now, and that skill set we can now point at Pro AV. So they're really coming to us.
And do you see this fitting in, whether it's a medium-sized company, if it's a smaller company?
That's a great question. It can be really 5 spaces, it could be 5,000 spaces, it could be 18,000 spaces. It really depends on how the Office of the CIO or the IT department want to consume, how they want to deal with it. Do they want to be able to refresh the technology in time? Do they want to have a 98% uptime? Do they want the same user experience? So I think, that can scale from being quite small up to very large and over large geographic areas as well.
Let's talk about scalability for a second, right? You talk about the as-a-service model designed for scale, essentially, right? But you look at so many of these businesses and enterprise these days that may not know the scale that they're going to need in a year or even in 2 months, right? How do you help proactively manage a lot of that with the conference room as a service tool?
Well, that's the beauty of conference room as a service. We have tools that monitor the spaces, and we're not selling that particular software monitoring tool. It's part of delivering the service. So consuming it as a service allows for that uptime. It allows for us to be able to deliver it in a manner in which IT departments love to consume.
And so I have in my notes that you've implemented this in over 18,000 conference rooms. Is that correct?
No, we've delivered 18,000 spaces. Some of them are being consumed as a service, and some are being consumed in the way in which CapEx, in the way they've always been consumed. But it's the very similar outcome. It's low complexity in high volumes over large geographic areas.
So talk a little bit about, we'll stick on the as-a-service model. That scares an integrator, right? Because the integrator typically is the person who wants to have that recurring revenue, that as-a-service. how are you partnering directly with those integrators to actually help drive revenue? Obviously for you guys, value for the end user, but ultimately value for the integrator as well.
Yeah, excellent question. Look, what we found, particularly with the big end of town, is they like to deal with businesses that have the same scale as they do. So what we tend to do is we work with our systems integrator, with our channel partners, to work with that end user. We will design a solution with the channel partner. We will offer a financial service to our channel, allow them to come into a consumption-based model where before it had to be been a bit hard for them. So our job is to smooth the way for the channel, but also to ensure that the end user gets what they want, and that in 3 years' time they do it all again with the latest technology.
Now, are you facing like any pushback from like organizations like, oh no, this like they just can't see it?
It doesn't
envision it.
It's not a. You mean the end user themselves?
Correct.
Yeah, not so much pushback. Some of them, the voice of the customer right now, and that's also through the manufacturing side, is that they'd like to. A lot of these end users want to be able to consume UCC technology like they would their laptops today. So they want to have the same experience no matter where you are in the world. You lift up the lid, everything's the same, right? You can think about a huddle space, or it's very much like that. It's a screen, it's a camera, it's sound, it's a soft client in there. So no pushback. In fact, complete opposite of that. They really want to match what they've been consuming. IT's been consuming as a service for a long time. AV's just now, the technology has allowed us to do that.
When you talk about the as-a-service model and the end users and the importance, subscriptions are familiar to end users, right? Especially when you talk about things like Netflix. You can't own Netflix, right? There's no server that you could put in your house that has Netflix. Whether it's Netflix, whether it's gym memberships, it's a familiar model that end users specifically are familiar with. Have you seen that drive adoption for the subscription service?
Yes, exactly right. I mean, it's the days of buying things as a subscription, it's normal. We're not selling a concept. We're just saying, okay, what version of that would you like to consume? I think the biggest thing though is that when you can consume software, if you think back to the old cable days where you had the cable box in your house, that box you didn't own that. That was just there to help you deliver that service. It's the same thing, but once you add software's a little easier because it can scale globally. Once you add hardware into the mix, it becomes difficult, which is where Wesco scale, global scale, comes into it.
Did you have any other questions?
Oh, absolutely. Well, hey, I mean, look, we've actually got a video that helps describe a lot of what we just talked about. Let's take a look at it.
The industry has evolved over the years. Analog to digital, isolated to network, server-based to cloud-based, but fundamental pains persist. Rolling out hundreds of rooms quickly and reliably is difficult, time-consuming, and expensive. Complex equipment frustrates staff, managers, and executives alike. The recent shift to hybrid offices has organizations considering replacement of outmoded systems. They're looking for simple, reliable, flexible, secure, and easy-to-budget video conferencing solutions. It's time for a totally new approach. It's time the AV industry met the Internet of Things. Introducing Conference Room as a Service, subscription-based products and services only from Wesco. A subscription that scales and works for your business. Together, with your preferred AV installer, we help you choose the right size system for your meeting spaces, small rooms, medium-sized rooms, and large conference rooms. Once you've chosen the size room you want to deploy, choose Zoom or Microsoft Teams and add options like bring your own device and a monitor if needed. Then choose how many rooms you want to add to your subscription. It's that easy. Once your AV integrator has installed and activated your equipment, your Conference Room as a Service subscription has you covered with advanced replacement, an industry-leading warranty, live 24/7 world-class help desk support, and a portal for remote monitoring and service tickets. With this service, all rooms are online and ready to go once connected to the network. It's never been easier to deploy, monitor, and evolve your workplace technologies, all at an affordable price with easy payments. Conference Room as a Service, subscription-based products and services, only from Wesco. Simple, reliable, flexible, secure, easy to budget.
Welcome back to the show. Look, I've got to say, this segment is one that I've been looking forward to all week. And we're bringing on the folks from Bose Pro. I mean, that's a heck of a name to come in. We've got John Maier and Adam Shulman. Thanks for coming on, fellas.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Look, we're here to answer some questions, right? People have questions. Obviously, the Bose Pro name kind of stands alone now. And but before we get into that, talk to us a little bit about some of the things that have happened over the last year, right? People have some questions. What can people expect, and what should people know about the transition?
It's definitely the question of the day. Essentially, Bose Corporate decided to divest the Bose Professional brand and the division, essentially, which is a big deal, right? It's rare that a top 100 brand takes a chunk of the business and actually divests. So it's essentially been a long year and a half process, and fairly complicated to make that happen. But Bose Professional is now independent business, standalone business. It's owned by a private equity firm called Transom. But we're just super excited to be able to have a singular focus on the Bose Professional business now, not the whole entire thing and just being a small part of it.
And so now with that transition, and you're able to serve a range of different customers from smaller to enterprise size, is there anything that you've learned during that transition?
Well, yeah, I think the idea, again, of being very focused on the customer as opposed to having to sort of answer to a larger strategy across a much wider customer group. So luckily, Bose Professional has always been sort of its own animal within the larger Bose Corporation. So the products, the relationships with the channel, the solutions that we provided have always been very focused on that customer. But now we can, again, really singularly focus on it. So we're not paying attention as much to a power above us saying, well, you can do this and you can't do that. It's just definitely a more focused approach.
Well, and Adam, especially when you think about things like having more flexibility and direct verticalized focus, right? One of the places you guys serve incredibly well is House of Worship, right? But there's so many different verticals that the Bose Pro world gets to focus on now. Talk about some of those verticals specifically and where you're seeing success.
Yeah, so House of Worship, as you mentioned, is one of them. We're also incredibly strong in retail and restaurant, hospitality, corporate, and others as well. For us, as John said, it's about focus, and ultimately our user is, okay, yes, it is designed by a designer, installed by an installer, but our user is ultimately the end user. And so our job as a manufacturer is really for each of those verticals to get out of the way, essentially, to understand the end user's needs and enable them to operate their facility to do their job, which is not managing the technical systems. So we need to provide clear audio, clear video, and an easy user experience so that they can focus on their work.
Well, I want to follow up to that too. You talk about the end user, and I feel like I'm the end user guy on this stage all the time, but there is some level of familiarity, and I don't even know if brand affinity is the right word right now because Bose Pro is a separate entity, but how do you merge that brand affinity that you already have built up by bringing it into the Pro side?
Yeah, so I think the brand affinity is helpful kind of at the recognition level, right? That may help to open some doors because there is the affinity in the consumer space. But we ultimately need to, it only goes so far, sure, right? We need to actually be able to deliver on that. So yes, it's a strong brand in the consumer space, but if the experience of actually installing and using the system is poor, then it kind of means nothing. And so for us, yes, it's nice to have that recognition initially, but we actually have to follow through and deliver an experience that is commensurate with it.
And so with this transition, what can channel partners and end users expect to see from Bose Professional going forward?
As John said, a continued and I'd say renewed focus on not only the product and technology level, but also the solutions that we're providing for those end user markets. So I think even more of a focus on those core markets and delivering great tools for designers and installers, but also delivering great solutions for end users. So,
I think the other thing I'd say, sorry to interrupt, is it's kind of a dual story. One in that nothing changes, right? Bose Professional has been its own division, so our channel partners should expect the same customer service, the same great products. And we've actually partnered with Bose Corporate to have over a year-long transition so that we have a very natural, effective transition. But at the same time, we're working super fast in the background on sort of reevaluating what can we change about the product roadmap that's coming, right? What can we do to fill out the product line to offer more solutions or better solutions? So it's kind of a no change on day one, but a lot of change coming that I think our channel partners will really look forward to.
Well, John, I want to ask too, kind of in that realm, right? Bose Pro historically has not had the massive SKU catalog of other manufacturers. Is that something that you're looking to double down on? Is that something you have more flexibility on now moving forward?
Well, I think we're going to focus on the core for us, and the core is that middle market of hospitality, retail, house of worship, higher education, corporate. Those sort of smaller to mid-sized systems where we've been kind of a number one choice for years, and it's about bolstering that. So again, staying focused, but bolstering those solutions. Long term, we have some other aspirations that we'll share later on, but for now...
You don't want to talk 4 years down the road today? You don't want to spill those beans?
Not in the technology world, no.
No sneak peek here.
Well, look, one of the things, too, I think, and to go back a little bit to the end user kind of affinity and experience side, is that as you guys have historically developed products, they've been successful and simple, right? Simplicity has been the successful point. You know, you look at all-in-one devices, whether it's the VB1, which has been out for a number of years now, or ceiling array mics, things like that. Talk about how simplicity has played such an important factor into the product design process, and will continue to.
Well, I'll start, but I think Adam can finish it. It really is, again, we think about not just our customer or distributor, but all the way down to who's designing the system, who's installing the system, who's using the system on a day-to-day basis. So we're trying to innovate across that entire spectrum, not just the product technology. And so that's kind of been a key part of it. Again, I'll let Adam sort of fill out in the blanks.
Yeah, and another element of the simplicity is also not just being good within a given application, but being good and easy to use across applications. So yes, we want to have a broad enough catalog to be able to provide a compelling solution, not only in the meeting room, but also in the public space, let's say, of the church, also in the sanctuary, and to be able to provide an incremental benefit when those systems are being used across the whole facility, whether it's maybe a familiarity of operation, or consistent sound quality, or consistent support channels, that sort of thing. So for us, it's not only the ease of use within a given application, but also across, and what happens when you tie those together. And so when you look at an introduction like PowerShare X, which is a new line of amplifiers at this show, that's a building block that is at home across a variety of those applications. You can use it for our small commercial systems up to high power performance systems, but with a common interface, a common set of rules, common design process. So we need a big enough portfolio to be able to be compelling in all of those spaces, but not so big that it's confusing and hard to make the right choices.
Totally understand. This is a conversation we're going to continue to have, because as the Bose Pro brand evolves, it's going to really be able to serve customers in a really unique way. So looking forward to checking back in with you guys 3 months, 6 months next year at InfoComm, because I'm really, really excited about the future.
Yeah.
And I know, Amanda, if you're watching, I know you were at home sick. We love you. Get well soon. But we'll see you then. John, Adam, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate it.
Yes, applause, fantastic. Thank you to our wonderful crowd out here as well. Hey, wanted to showcase some of the coolest new installations. We talk about education all the time. Wanted to show you what Michigan State University is doing.
Hey, Naren. Hey, I'm going to Michigan State University. Yeah, they invited me to check out their igloo.
Ah, nice. I got the invite too, though. You do know it's a virtual reality igloo, right? Like a 360-degree projection room?
Wait, so it's not like a real snow and ice igloo?
Nah, not the snow and ice one. More like an audiovisual one.
Oh, okay.
Hey, don't be bummed. It's still gonna be pretty cool.
I'll see you there, man.
All right, see you, bro.
I might be a little overdressed for a real igloo, but then again, we're in Michigan, so come on, let's take a field trip.
Every time people come into this space, I usually have to put my hand on the ground to pick their jaws up off the floor. They realize, oh, this is something I've never seen before. This is something I've never conceived that could be done.
Paul Cooper first learned about VR technology after seeing a Super Bowl ad in 2017. A year later, Michigan State would welcome students and faculty to one of the first 360-degree cylinders on a college campus in the United States.
And a key criteria that they were looking for was a flexible system that could accommodate a really wide range of different use cases. Also something that was easy enough to use so that students and faculty could concentrate on developing the content and the experiences rather than struggling to learn how to use a complex AV system.
I was not very familiar with what an igloo was at the time. So when we found out it was happening, we got very excited because it's a really natural progression in our program to utilize virtual reality type immersive experiences.
Christy Kellum teaches interior design at Michigan State. Her students are using the igloo to visualize their projects in a fully immersive setting.
It's like a holiday morning the first time they come in. They are so excited. We're creating ideas and proposals for clients of what a space could be. We're building the 3D model of it, adding the materials and textures and lighting, creating this beautiful space that in the past would have been presented to a client in a flat still.
The benefits to working in an immersive space are definitely being able to look at your space with a whole new perspective. It's really awesome to put yourself in that exact spot in the space as opposed to looking at it from an angle that you have to edit and tweak a couple of times.
To actually have them be able to come into a room and look around the space around them and feel like they're actually a part of it is huge. It makes a complete difference.
While VR headsets could have been used to create immersive environments, there's one important differentiator with the igloo.
We can all experience it together. We can have a small group of students, stakeholders, clients coming into that space, and whatever's being projected in that igloo, we are immersed in it together.
It's a shared experience. Everyone can see it at the same time and get the depth of what that story is.
The installation at Michigan State is a 23-foot, 360-degree cylinder. It uses 6 Epson projectors. They're 8,000 lumens, laser, WXGA resolution.
We have our projectors that we have in the space that allows us to really convey everything in the brightest possible environment.
They also have a 5.1 surround sound system. Then everything's being driven by a Igloo Imp3 media player, and that's the server that's powering the whole system.
While the igloo serves students on campus, it can also connect with classrooms anywhere in the world. In fact, Michigan State faculty is piloting a new shared project with a school in Indonesia to document Muslim houses of worship in 360 VR.
Well, we've just got that in the starting phase right now. In here, we can also incorporate Zoom or Microsoft Teams and have those students collaborate with us on screen and share in the environment. The tricky part, though, is trying to get the time zones corrected so that we're talking to them at least close to some time that we're still awake and they're not ready to go to bed.
And we were really pleased with how quickly the staff and students at Michigan State started making use of the technology. I think the way that they've approached kind of the management of this technology and supporting students and faculty and adopting it and integrating it into their projects has been hugely successful.
I tell students all the time that when they come in with an idea, that we can take any idea they want. The only limitation is how far they can dream. And once they're here, we're more than happy to help them.
So even though this igloo wasn't quite what I was expecting, it was still pretty cool, huh? And this is just the beginning, as immersive technologies continue to integrate with college classrooms. So until next time, I'm Charles Herr, and I'll see you on the next field trip. So come on, let's go on.
Let's take a field trip.
That was such a great piece. A special shout out to our AVIXA production team for putting that together. That's just one example of some of the content you'll find on AVIXA TV, so make sure you go and check that out. So I think we had a really great day today. What do you think?
Yeah, well, considering I'm already sweating from the floor being open and it's like 1 o'clock,
It's only
I feel
one.
like I don't know how I'm going to survive all week, but look, I am so excited and so pumped and fired up to just see everything else that's happening over here. I've literally walked through about 1/8 of the floor so far, and there's just so much more. There's so much more coming on from this stage right here. We've got 3 more shows, 2 tomorrow, the first of which features Sydney from Jupiter. We've got Matthew Lawrence, we've got Sam Minish and Sanj coming on as well. We can't wait to see you guys then. Be sure to tune in tomorrow live, 9 a.m. Eastern time. If you're here, come see us. We love you. We'd love to give you a hug, high five. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Ollie, take care.
If you're installing or troubleshooting network devices, you know that reliable operation depends upon the performance of the cabling and the network. With LinkIQ, you get cable testing from the world leader along with network testing. The LinkIQ can characterize the performance of your cable up to 10 gigabits per second and troubleshoot problems fast. When it's time to connect to the network, LinkIQ shows you the switch name and IP address, the port number, speed, and VLAN. It also shows the IP address of the switch and performs a connectivity test to an IP address of your choice. Plus Power over Ethernet testing that includes a load test to make sure the power you need is really there. When you're done, store the results, then document it with Linkware, the industry's de facto standard. LinkIQ, cable testing you trust and network testing you need.
The Microflex Advance MXA902 integrated conferencing ceiling array is the first complete ceiling audio solution for AV conferencing. Because it mounts overhead, it provides more consistent sound quality throughout the room than an all-in-one soundbar mounted on the wall. The MXA902 has all three things needed for exceptional audio in small to medium-sized meeting spaces. First, there's an advanced array microphone with single-zone automatic coverage technology. It captures every participant in a 20 by 20 foot area right out of the box. Second, onboard IntelliMix DSP eliminates annoying echo and room noise and adjusts talker levels automatically. Everyone is heard clearly no matter where they sit. Finally, the MXA902 has a built-in wide dispersion loudspeaker that delivers robust sound throughout the room without the need for external speakers and amplifiers. Remote participants and program audio playback are easy to hear. With its revolutionary integrated design, the MXA902 is quicker to install than individual microphones, loudspeakers, and signal processors. One network cable with PoE Plus is all you need. The MXA902 integrated conferencing ceiling array is the ideal solution for AV conferencing in small and medium-sized meeting rooms. It's the fastest way to better sound.
The industry has evolved over the years. Analog to digital, isolated to network, server-based to cloud-based, but fundamental pains persist. Rolling out hundreds of rooms quickly and reliably is difficult, time-consuming, and expensive. Complex equipment frustrates staff, managers, and executives alike. The recent shift to hybrid offices has organizations considering replacement of outmoded systems. They're looking for simple, reliable, flexible, secure, and easy-to-budget video conferencing solutions. It's time for a totally new approach. It's time the AV industry met the Internet of Things. Introducing Conference Room as a Service, subscription-based products and services only from Wesco. A subscription that scales and works for your business. Together, with your preferred AV installer, we help you choose the right size system for your meeting spaces, small rooms, medium-sized rooms, and large conference rooms. Once you've chosen the size room you want to deploy, choose Zoom or Microsoft Teams and add options like bring your own device and a monitor if needed. Then choose how many rooms you want to add to your subscription. It's that easy. Once your AV integrator has installed and activated your equipment, your Conference Room as a Service subscription has you covered with advanced replacement, an industry-leading warranty, live 24/7 world-class help desk support, and a portal for remote monitoring and service tickets. With this service, all rooms are online and ready to go once connected to the network. It's never been easier to deploy, monitor, and evolve your workplace technologies, all at an affordable price with easy payments. Conference Room as a Service subscription-based products and services, only from Wesco. Simple, reliable, flexible, secure, easy to budget.